Hey, hope everybody is well. I figured I'd just do a quick pop-on stream here. I'm heading out tomorrow. I'm actually heading down to Florida. So it will be my last stream for a little bit. I might do one when I get in Florida. So yeah, ask me any questions if you have, although I do have an email I want to address that somebody sent to me. And then I will check the questions. I appreciate the thumbs, guys. Thumbs up are always appreciated. If you don't know who I am, I'm Stef. Okay, so let me start off with something I haven't done in a while. Album of the day, Beck Guero. Good album, very good album. So I have the vinyl here, but the digital's fine. Great album, lots of good tracks on here, so I highly recommend this. Beck Guero. I think I'm saying that Guero. I think I'm saying that properly. If I'm not, I apologize. All right, so there you go. That's enough of that. Yeah, so I got an email from somebody. And hey, everybody. Hope everybody is well. Code Long and Profit. I have a Discord channel of, I think it's over 3,000 people on it. It's a nice Discord channel. Look at the links below this video. You'll see a link to the Discord channel. It's free to join. Lots of good people on there. So I highly recommend you check that out. Hold on, let me just take it here. Where is this? Give me a second. There we go. Yeah, it's the Code Long and Profit Discord. There it is, Code Long and Profit Discord. So it's a lot of activity going on, you know, as you can see here. We have people of all levels in the Discord channel. So it's pretty cool. Beginners, advanced people, intermediate. Yeah, so people are joining all the time. January 13th, that's today. These are all the people who joined so far. So yeah, and then the day before and so on. So yeah, take a look. If you want to get together with people, other coders, other learners, it's a great place to go. I'm not on there as much as I'd like to be, but I plan to get on there more often. And yeah, there's a lot to gain there. So yeah, check out the Discord channel, my recommendation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer a question that was put to me via email here. I thought it was interesting. A lot of misconceptions this dude has, which is okay because there's a lot of less than accurate information flowing on the internet. So let me just get into it. So this guy says, "Hey, Uncle Stef, I saw your website and have a lot, and I see that you have a lot of YouTube content. Thanks for your effort. In your YouTube channel, you used to say the language script you learn is not the most important, as it is easy to pivot from one to the next. That's true. You learn one programming language to learn the second, the third, the fourth. It gets easier and easier and easier, and it becomes a fraction of time. First language takes you X. The second language will take you 10% of the time. The third language, 5% of the time, and so on. In my career as a developer, I would go into projects not knowing what language I was going to use or framework, and I would just learn it on the fly. That was very common. It's very common in development, by the way. So he says, okay, but then why do you have HTML, CSS, PHP as your curriculum? So he's questioning the curriculum I have in my mentoring program, and he's got a lot of interesting assumptions, shall we say. All right, so we'll just jump into it. The curriculum seems hardly the best in terms of job market. This guy is, I'm sorry, he's misinformed. Number one, HTML, CSS, as far as I know, scripts are scripts and not languages. Well, they're not programming languages. One's a markup language and one's a styling language, meaning you can't really build apps. You can only create documents. So he thinks that HTML, CSS are only used to create documents. As you know, every single web app in the world, including Google and MSDN, and Microsoft and Instagram's web app, they're all created with HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS is a fundamental building block languages of any website or any web app. So it's not just for creating documents. Although he's kind of right, half right in the sense that they are used for creating the documents, but in programming terms, they're used to create the views, that which you see, that which you view in your application. So yes, I teach HTML and CSS because they are, in terms of coding languages is a broader term that includes programming languages. In terms of the coding languages in general, HTML and CSS are super important, and they also teach a certain way of thinking about information. So it's a very good first two languages to learn. Number two, he says, JavaScript is infamous for a somewhat sketchy syntax. Thus, most prefer TypeScript instead. No, most people don't prefer TypeScript because JavaScript is the most popular language in the world, and TypeScript is, I don't think it's in the top 10. Some people do prefer TypeScript because it's a more refined version, if you will, of JavaScript, although it's not JavaScript. Basically, if you know JavaScript, you can learn TypeScript in a matter of an hour. It's not a big deal. He's right about this. The syntax, not so much the syntax in JavaScript is sketchy, it's behavior. It's kind of sketchy sometimes, kind of inconsistent. But if you know what those things are, you just, you can mitigate for it. So yeah, I teach JavaScript because it's the most popular programming coding language. It's the most popular scripting / programming language in the world. If you're going to be writing web apps, you're probably going to have to do in JavaScript. So that's why I teach it. And it's also part of the C family of languages, which means that JavaScript, C#, Java, C++, C, to a lesser extent PHP, and other languages out there, TypeScript. They all from that same language family. So once you learn one, to learn the others is really easy. It says PHP, number 3, he says, PHP is so infamous that having it on your resume in Stack Exchange can actually work against you. I don't know who said that. This may be somewhat objectively unjustified, but nonetheless, this is the perception. This is the perception of people who are not in the job market or noobs. Fact of the matter is that PHP, in terms of server-side programming languages, PHP is the most widely used, mainly because of WordPress and CMSs, but it's the workhorse language of small business. So again, you learn PHP, you learn server-side programming and development. Those skills are 100% transferable to all the other competitors. Number 4, he's trashing Python even. Python is infamous for being inflexible when it comes to platforms. I don't know what he's talking about. Python is used on all the platforms. It's also for its low trash speed latency. Well, it's pretty slow. There's no question about that. But as I've said many times, speed of runtime is far less important today than speed of write time, meaning how quickly you can develop something in Python is far more important than how fast it runs. And it runs dog slow, there's no question. They're working on improving that, but it's not an issue because computer networks, the internet is so powerful these, they're so big, computers are so powerful, servers are so powerful. It's not what it was 15 years ago, where I rejected Python as a server-side solution because it was too slow. To run Python web apps back in those days, you needed a dedicated server with lots of CPU because the Python itself was less optimized than it is today. And more importantly, computers are far, far slower. Today, computers are so fast. So yes, you can write something in C++ where the latency would be 1/100th, if not 1/1000th. It would be much faster than Python, but whether it takes 1/100th of a second to process a piece of logic with C++ or it takes half a second in Python, who cares? It doesn't make a difference in terms of practical implementations. Okay, so he says, I've recently studied C#. I have recently started to study C#. It's a good language. C# is a good syntax and a good IDE for free. That's true, but so is Python. I can build both console, web, iPhone, phone apps with C#. That's true. One of the bigger languages, so it's making it easier to find a job. I live in Europe and may influence things perhaps. Yeah, where you live, he's got that right. Where you live will influence what language you learn to a certain extent. You find certain geographical regions will have different preferences in terms of languages that are used. I know, for example, in Germany, apparently C# is very, very, very popular. I know West Coast, Southern California, C#, Java, very popular. It's because of the industries. Southern California, I think it's probably because of military industrial complex. They use a lot of that stuff. So he says, my goal is to become self-taught. I may be the wrong track here, though. take it what you say on your website. What would you like to elaborate? So so reasonable questions. You know, it's not his fault that he has these misconceptions about HTML and JavaScript, PHP, and Python. There's so much FUD out there. It's incredible. I say this over and over again. If you're learning to program, don't worry about the languages. It doesn't really matter, especially your first one. You know, it's like being concerned about what car you're going to be learning to drive with. Whether you learn to drive with a Toyota or a Porsche or an Audi or a Ford, it doesn't matter. You're just learning to drive a car. It doesn't matter. Once you learn to drive one car, you can pretty much get into any other car, and you know the buttons will be a little bit different, behavior a little bit different. But at the end of the day, once you learn to drive, you know how to drive. Same thing with programming, really. So there you go. I've answered that question. Again, I'm not trying to trash the dude. These are questions. People get these ideas based on the nerd zeitgeist out there, the nerdgeist, and lots of misinformation, unfortunately. What are you gonna do? All right, that's it. Let's jump into the Q&A. Let's jump into the Q&A. Well, I'm gonna write this guy back. I said, hold on. Let's see if I'll write this guy back later. Let's see how many people joined the Discord. All right, so we got the Discord here. Boom. All right, so are people joining? Okay, so we have a bunch of people. This is my Discord. It's the Code Long and Profit Discord server. We got over 3,000 members and growing. Yeah, so people are joining. So in the last few minutes, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people join. Yeah, you should join. 3,000 people. Pretty good. Well moderated group of moderators. So they do a good job handling that. All right, let's get to the Q&A. All right, appreciate the thumbs up, everybody. If you do that, it tells the Google algorithms that you appreciate the stream. So I'm going to answer some questions now. Let's do this. Hold on. All right, scrolling up. Edu. My job is not programming code related, but I have the urge to build some small personal projects. What mentoring coaching can you provide for what I need to learn, and then guidance in the project? So yeah, since he brought it up, I do have a mentoring program, UncleStef.com. Take a look before. It's very different from any other mentoring program. You'll be learning from somebody who's been coding since '94. Yeah, about 40% of the people in the program are already pro developers, and they come to get feedback on apps they are building, or to get feedback on moving from working full-time to freelancing. We also have 60% total beginners. So I can help you on all levels. The whole point of the program, the mentoring program, is to transfer my decades of experience in software, in business, in freelance, in finance even, to you guys. So instead of you having to spend 15, 20 years learning all this stuff piecemeal, you can get it all in one place. It covers everything. The fundamentals of code, getting a job, resume building, building a freelance business, taking all the extra money when you start making money, what to do with it so you get yourself out of a rat race. Yeah, to answer that question. Thank you. First question, can I do data science and coding jobs with a statistics major? Well, I'm not sure about data science. I'm not a data scientist. You would have to look it up what the requirements are for data science. Coding, yes, you can. There's not a question about that. Coding is one of the few professions out there where it's very high pay, and you don't need a degree to get into the game for the most part. Some places you do, but a lot of jobs you don't. As long as you can just show that you have ability, you'll be fine. Next question. Hey, Pablo, how are you? Code Long and Profit. Hey, Scotty, what's going on? Cheers. Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate the thumbs, everybody. Muse says, my question is, why do you get into front-end development instead of back-end? Or are you full stack? I did all. I do all. I did all. I recommend people do full stack because it just offers a wider range of possibilities. Your first job, you want to get any job you can get as a developer, first of all. You know, there's a lot more full stack jobs, I am guessing, well, tradition there always is, than just pure front end. Although there's lots of jobs in all these areas. But if you have a broader set of skills, the more opportunity you have. Once you get in there, once you get your foot in the door, you will be able to then figure out exactly where you're going to specialize in, whether it be front end, back end, full stack. Yeah, glad you like the music. Yeah. Hello, I just found your channel a few days ago. I'm loving the content. Thanks for all your advice. All right, thanks for watching the videos, and I'm glad I could help. Yo, how are you, man? You some new faces and old faces too. Bucharest, very cool. The 5,000 euro developer. There goes Stef. When making a big project, how do you get over your fear of it's not possible? Well, I just break down things into smaller components, and I just do things one step at a time. And I just try to get out your MVP, your minimum viable product, as quickly as possible. So you don't want to get stuck designing something that will never get released, you know? Ghost. I asked you before how I get back into coding after 1.5 years. You said, put it back in my routine. It's 2 hours good, knowing that I used to study 6 months. You know, I recommend, if you're learning how to code, frequency, it's not a recommendation, I know. My major in university was psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but that was my major. So what I recommend is you do a little bit every day, even a half an hour. Put it this way, an hour 4 days a week is better than 7 hours on Sunday. The more often you expose yourself to anything, the more your brain's going to pay attention to it and devote energy into creating new neural pathways so that you understand the stuff. So 2 hours is cool. I would recommend you cap it off at 4 hours a day for intense work, because your cognitive capacity for most people is limited to about 4 hours, 5 hours. Then your cognitive capabilities plummet. So it's kind of like a waste of time. So yeah, 2 hours is fine. Hey, well, I appreciate that, Captain. I'm a new UX designer. Should I learn a little bit of code? I would learn a little bit of code because it would just make you more valuable. So it'll be a bit of a challenge if you're new to it, but just keep doing it a little bit every day, a little bit every day, and then you start to understand it. And then one day, the connections will be made, the neural connections in your brain. Then all of a sudden you wake up one morning, oh, I understand all this. It literally works that way, believe it or not. So yeah, I would recommend it because it just makes you more valuable. It's actually better for your brain health as well. How do I get unbanned from the Stefan Mishuk Discord channel? Ooh, Christopher. I don't know the details. Do you still have contact with the mods there? Maybe you can make amends with them. I'm not sure. I don't participate in that aspect of the Discord because I let them handle that. I don't know what happened, but talk to them, reach out to them, and find out what happened, and then promise not to transgress again and see what they say. But I can't do everything, so I let them handle that. Sorry to hear it, though. Hello, what do you think is better to learn, PHP or Node? Look at the local job market and make your decision based on that. Are there a lot of PHP jobs? Are there a lot of Node jobs? You've learned one or the other, you just pivot. You know, so if, let's say you decide to learn Node and then you find, oh my God, there's tons of PHP jobs. You learn PHP and pretty darn quick, so I wouldn't be too concerned. There we go. Awesome programs and content. There's a sea of fraudsters and overpriced courses. Studioweb is superb. I appreciate that. Thank you. Studioweb is my SaaS product that schools have been using for a long time now. I got my first schools on Studioweb about 10, 11 years ago, over 10 years ago. And over the years, it's been modified, updated. We're always updating. So Studioweb is an interactive training platform designed hand in hand with many districts and schools. Still used today. Go to studioweb.com, you see. It seems to me I'm one of the few YouTuber coders who actually have a product that's actually being used by institutions. Just saying. But anyway, I try to keep the price down, make it reasonable for people. Even my mentoring program. Right now, as it stands, it's a fraction of the cost of other boot camps. And it's much more flexible. You may want to check that out. Yes, I'm shamelessly self-promoting. I hope you're great. I'm great. Thanks for joining. I've been learning web dev for a year now and done a few projects using Laravel. Very cool. Laravel is the predominant PHP framework. So we use it for Studioweb. I'm also trying to be a backend dev, but I still feel like in tutorial hell. Any advice? Yeah, I would go out there and offer your services now for free. Do two to three free projects. That's how you get into the game. You got to just take that leap. What are the other sides that developers spend more time in after ChatGPT emerge? I think with ChatGPT and the other AI code solutions, they'll just save you time in terms of writing code. Will save you time in terms of debugging. It's just like getting a power screwdriver. You know, if your screwdriver, you do it manually, it will take X amount of power. You still got to know what you're doing. So I wouldn't be so concerned. It would be just compressing the amount of time you do code and more time on architecture and refinements and stuff. How can I be accepted in the Uncle Stef community? Should I strive to be popular? Just be helpful and participate. A general rule in life, if you try to help others and be friendly and participate with others, then people want to be around you. That's pretty much it. It's that simple. Just be helpful to others. Just be helpful. That's my advice. Do you think that Quarkus will have a future like Spring Boot? I have not looked at Quarkus. I could not say. I don't know what kind of traction it has. Spring Boot has a pretty firm grip on things. And I think Java has entered its plateau years, I suppose to say. So I don't see Java moving quickly in terms of it evolving. I think a lot of the Java work these days are maintenance. They're maintaining older systems. So I don't know if you're going to see a lot of will to want to jump into new frameworks. What kind of power influence do you have in regards to the Discord's channel? I control it, but I don't involve myself in the day-to-day. I haven't been, frankly, because of recent health problems, I haven't been involved in much. So the mods take care of it, and but I started the server and I have total control. But I let the mods take care of stuff. See, as you get more and more busy with things, you have to let go of things that you do. You can't do everything, otherwise you can't get anything done. So I have to delegate to people. Hi, Uncle. Any tips, ideas, or suggestions for developing WordPress plugin with the recent technology demand? I would first thing do when you want to develop any tech is you study the market. Look at WordPress, the WordPress plugin ecosystem. Find out what's going on, what's popular. All the ratings are there, right? Find out what's popular, what the demand is, and find a hole, find an opportunity, and then start developing based on that. Santa reviews. Hey, how are you, man? Code long and profit, Santa. You should check out Santa reviews. You want to get reviews on headphones and stuff. This guy is a true audiophile. So yeah, check him out. Santa reviews on YouTube's. I asked you before how to get a code. Okay, I got this one already. Hold on a second. I think I got a super chat, so I should answer that. Michael Angelos. Hi, Steph. Is there any point to getting a CS degree as a professional developer? Is it worth the time and money, in your opinion? Thank you. First thing I say is don't get into student loan debt. So if you decide to go to higher education and you gotta pay, you're not on a scholarship or something. Take jobs on the side. Don't get into student loan debt. It's the worst debt because you can get trapped in it. Now I know in certain European countries it's much cheaper than it is in North America, well, especially U.S. So as a general rule, I'm reluctant to very reluctant to get into any debt related to education because you're trapped in it. Number one. Number two, CS degrees still have a level of importance depending on the business, but that is dropping every year. It's becoming less and less important. The culture has shifted on that. I've cited this many times. Google has said publicly, don't go to university if you want to learn to be a developer. You can get it done within a year in a program like mine. So why would you spend 4 years? That's 3 years you would be in school not earning money, or somebody else would be earning money. Number two, but again, certain companies will require a CS degree to get in, but those requirements are dropping now over time. Google says don't get a degree. Apple, IBM did a study. They found that their employees who don't have a degree are just as performant as those who do. So the culture is changing on that one. So it's a personal decision. If it's free, you're not pressed for time, I would consider it, you know? All right. Hey, no worries. Well, thanks for watching the content, by the way. I stole this from Star Trek, by the way. In Star Trek, the Vulcans say, what do they say? They say, live long and prosper. That's what the Vulcans say. I say, code long and profit. Now, this is how the Vulcans do it, but the problem with that, there's no blurriness of the hand. It's not bokeh-ish, no bokeh. If you go like this, see how blurry that is? That's a better salute. So that's the code long and profit salute. Bad joke. Yeah, if you're a true nerd, you can go like this. Right? See, that's effortless. Effort. And if you can do the double guns, that means you're a master developer. That's it. I don't hire anybody if they can't do at least this. If they have to go like this, they're out. Out. Is GDX Gold Mining Index a good buy for 2023? Gold has been, this is an investment question for the non-investor types. Gold has been a dead money for a while now, and I think because all the potential gold investors jumped into the whole crypto camp. So now that crypto has taken another shot in the face with FTX collapsing, maybe you might see some activity in gold, but I have a position in full disclosure with a gold ETF, gold silver ETF. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to promote anything, and I'm not promoting anything. I just have it as a hedge, meaning I don't know what's going to happen with gold or silver and precious metals. I don't follow it enough. So I just have a little bit here, just in case. You do that. The one rule investment that is so true, and I highly recommend you follow, is be totally diversified, because the future is unknowable for the most part. You never know what will happen. Yeah. I'm new. Yeah, if you're new to code, I would definitely jump into it. It's worth it. Can't lose. Hey, he's got that guy. That guy's got a pretty good. He's got the Ronnie James Dio devil horns. That's good. I'm a junior full stack Rails developer since 8 months. Yeah, very cool. I make fun of Ruby, but I'm not actually making fun of Ruby. What I'm doing is making fun of people who care, who get stressed out about the languages. As a web developer, are web development jobs stressful? It depends on the company you work for. And it also could depend on if you have deliverables or not. I've seen this a lot on Google, and I want to know your word of this. I'm working as much as possible, to be competent enough. Do you have any heads up for jobs? Well, you guys got to go out there and follow my rules I talk about all the time. Do 2 to 3 small little jobs, etc., etc. Um, yeah, apparently working at the big fangs is stressful because they have I think the average person who works at a fang, an Apple, Google, Facebook, they last like 2 years, 2.5 years. You're welcome to lurk, no problem. Hey, Steph, what's a good API idea? I don't know. Look around. That's a business question. It's like, what's a good idea for a business? I don't know. There's lots of ideas out there. Hey, Steph, I'm a viewer since my first step into computer science area. Oh, very cool. Well, thanks for watching. Project Nightingale. I think you've been on the streams before. I think I've seen you. My mind says being employed, and my heart says being self-employed. Listen to what? You can find videos where I talk about that. What I recommend in terms of career choices is you think about how you like to spend your days. You want to be as fine-grained as that. So do you like the idea of going into work? Do you like the idea of working with colleagues? Do you like the idea of a big business where you got a lot of bureaucracies, where you may work on a project for 1, 2, 3 years? Or do you like the idea of flexibility, to be able to set your own times, but uncertainty? Advantage of working for somebody is you got that paycheck coming. Whereas when you're freelance, especially the first little while, you got to hustle a bit, and there'll be some uncertainty. So you have to be more disciplined when you work for yourself in terms of your money management, in terms of just discipline getting the work done, because you have to create your own structure. So keep that in mind. So that's a personal choice. Again, the career you choose is not like, I was going to say it's not like marriage, but everybody gets divorced now. So anyway, it's not like traditional marriage where you're stuck for life. You can move on. You can start off working for somebody, and after a year or 2 or 6 months or whatever it is, you can just leave, right? The key is FU money. Look up my videos on FU money. You need to become financially independent by being disciplined in your spending habits, so you don't spend more than you earn, by saving on a regular basis. For me, if my bank accounts are not going up every month, it's like red alert. Beep, beep. It's like a major problem. So make sure that your bank accounts are growing all the time. Make sure you have a habit of saving and eventually, well, sooner than later, investing. FU money is just emergency money. So if you have emergency money and you're living below your means, emergency money, enough money to last you for, I would say, at least 6 months. And depending on your situation, it could be 2 years, might be good. Then you won't worry. So keep that in mind. Hi, Steph. Will you save this recorded live on YouTube? It's late in Indonesia. I need to sleep right now. Yeah, I'll save it for at least a few days, so it'll be there under the live tab. Yeah, how time we're doing here? All right, almost 40 minutes. Time flies. They're all viable opportunities. LAMP, WordPress, Laravel. It's just different types of work. They're all viable. It's been 2 weeks applying for jobs, no luck. I'm a React developer, so I've been applying for senior and junior positions. How do I land a job? Feel like my portfolio is A1. Well, I would have to look at your portfolio to give you some feedback on that. Make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. Start reaching out to people on LinkedIn. What else is there? 2 weeks is nothing, by the way. Just keep applying, keep applying. Keep trying to try to create some connections on LinkedIn with some professionals, maybe on a Discord. You want to, a big part of getting the jobs is people getting to know you. So that will help you out. What's your view on using Anki memorizing app to learn how to code? Memorizing is not the key to coding. So memorization is not the key to coding. I'll say it again. Memorization is not the key to coding. It's conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding. Memorization will come through coding. At first, you won't remember things, but that's why people invented integrated development environments and code editors. So you start writing out a function name that's part of the core library, and it will complete it for you. Memorization is not the key. Don't worry about that. I forget much more than I used to know as I sit here now, but I'm not concerned about that. If I just sat down, it would all come back to me anyway. So don't worry about that. Hey, it's mi friend here. Very good. Gandalf. I believe web is the way to go. Mobile, waste of time. A web app can run on every device, including smart TVs. Am I right? I would agree with that. Gandalf is wise and powerful wizard. He knows the ways of the code. So yes, definitely. I don't know, waste of time, extreme, but between web versus mobile, yeah, there's a lot more opportunity in web. I have programmed 22 years. Oh, wow. You're entering the ancient dragon coder level there. I feel it's time to move on to being a freelance. I just can't figure out how. I always end up in a contract behaving like a full-time employee. I hear you. Yeah, it's a question of just setting up your business properly. And when you get into when you start establishing a relationship with new prospective clients, you just got to set those boundaries initially. I talk about that in other videos, my freelance course. So it's about setting up those relationships when you initially get into them, but also it's also having the wherewithal financially, so that you don't need the job. So first thing is you got to make sure your finances are in order. So I assume you got investments for retirement. I assume you got FU money. I assume you should have no debt except for maybe a mortgage. Very important. Financial independence means independence of time. And that will give you the ability to pivot into the exact type of freelance work that you want to do. Just for people to understand, there's a difference between freelance work versus contracting. When you're freelance, you are in control of your time. You are in control of how you work. And to a great extent, once you've established your freelance business, you are in control of the type of work that you do, the languages you use, the frameworks you have a great deal of control because you can just decide. Whereas when you become a contractor, it's as Denise suggested here. She says, I always end up in a contract behaving like a full-time employee. Contracting is basically just a short-term full-time employment because they're going to dictate what you're doing. They're going to have certain protocols in place and methodologies in place. You'll be doing a first limited set of things, typically, depending. So it's basically an employee without any of when you're contract work, you're an employee without the benefits of an employee. But typically contractors make much more per hour than the employee because it's usually like 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. Whereas employees implied, perpetual. So yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. There we go. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, good. Yeah, just let us know how it goes. Once I get back from my trip in about a week or so, I'll start doing some regular streams, barring no unforeseen events. I used to do these daily, but life happens. Do you think 600 hours self-taught front dev to get a job with 3 to 5 different projects, learn JavaScript, HTML, you have to, 600 hours is more than enough. In my coding fundamentals, you got about 200 hours of just the core courses. Then you got projects, 57 projects. So you got maybe 300 hours, but you should be out there now doing freelance gigs, 2 to 3, not just self-done projects. A big difference. Thanks, Uncle Stef, for helping us out in our journey. New York says, hey, no worries, man. Glad I could help. Good city, New York. Okay, I got to the super chat. Thanks, man. Hamza, hey. I'm well. I hope everything is well. By the way, Happy New Year. A little bit late for everybody. Hope everybody is well. How we doing here for time? Appreciate the thumbs, everybody. See, Masil, I really want to know what you think about the feel and need to master how everything works under the hood. You don't. First answer. You don't. it's a fool's errand. It's futile to try to remember everything. Trust me, I've been there. I know how it is. But it's so vast that it's impossible. You just got to learn the key fundamentals, which goes beyond the basics. And then as you work, as you get paid, you will learn things based on, I call it the need to nerd category. There's a category of things you got to learn, but are must learn. The fundamentals, a very small subset of what's out there, very tiny subset. But that foundation will allow you to jump into almost anything. And then you have the need to nerd stuff, the frameworks, the libraries, the APIs, the deployment protocols. All these things are need to nerd, meaning you learn them if you have to. You may, for example, I use this example all the time. When I was actively writing a lot of Java code in the 90s, early 2000s, I wrote Java for years, and I only used a very small part of Java. Java is vast. Just Java is vast. So yeah, you don't have to learn everything. So she continues, Marcellus, I think it's a woman, but whatever. I'm literally spent 3 months in Linux distribution recreation. Greetings from France. Bonjour, bonjour. J'espère tout ça va bien en France. Yeah, that's enough, unless you want to be a Linux expert. You got to focus on your end goal, Again, you could just look one language and spend months on it, and months and months and months and months, years, and still not master it. So I wouldn't get too caught up in this. Greetings from Montreal, Canada. Thanks for joining the stream. Honest question: would you change your profession if you could be very that successful like you are now? No, I got a huge value personally out of becoming a developer in terms of my understanding of the world and my ability to think. And it opened up a lot of opportunities for me. So no, I enjoyed it too. I would be one of those nerds who Friday night I'd be at home writing code, working on one of my apps because it was just fun. It was fun. I'd have to pull away. I would spend long hours on it because it was entertaining for me. That's one of the most important rules. It's kind of cliche. People always say it. Do what you love. It's so true because whatever you get into, there'll be points that are rough or problematic. So if you don't like what you do, really like it a lot, it's going to be, you won't stick through it. So you got to like what you do. I loved coding. It was when I decided to go more into management end of things, it was a very hard decision because I knew that I couldn't be a manager and a full developer at the same time. I couldn't get into architecture and be a full developer at the same time. It's not possible. It's not possible. So it was very hard. I remember I spent a long time thinking about it because I knew if I pulled away from day-to-day coding, that was it, But yeah, I wouldn't change. How do you think AI will affect developers in the coming decades? I don't know about decades, but over the next decade or so, it's just going to shift the goalpost, if you will. It's going to shift what we do as developers, and this is nothing normal. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, what we had to do to develop web apps, we don't have to do a lot of those things anymore because the technology's evolved since then. It's much better. And that's all this is going to do. I wouldn't be too concerned. I'm a teacher. I would love to check this out. Oh, yeah, for sure. Check it out. It's studioweb.com. And just shoot us an email. Shoot me an email, and I'll give you a demo so you can look at the backend tools. The system will auto-grade for you, track your students' performance, tell you when's the last time they logged on, how long they spent on a particular course, all kinds of details in there. How many attempts they make on questions. It's all kinds of classroom management tools that makes it really easy for you to manage your students. And the material is very engaging. You have great outcomes. So your students will come out doing well. K8, not K8, 8th grade and up. We have college level students on the program, depending on the course, and we also have 7th and 8th graders as well. Sure, no problem. How can I use ChatGPT as a tool to help me in coding? I did videos on that, and I think there's videos out there. It can be used for sure. It can help you for boilerplate code, maybe answer some questions about stuff. How do you use C++ if it's so difficult to say? Yeah, C++ is still super widely used because it's very, very performant, but it's difficult to manage. The biggest problem, it was anyway, I'm not sure if it still is, but the biggest problem was memory management. That's why you see all those bugs come out of it. So with the power of it you get from C++, you have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? With the power and the control that you get, it also allows you to mess things up. So that's just the way it is. I'm not dissing on it though. I don't use it. No, I don't use it. I've done like the equivalent of a little bit more of an hello world, very simple things, but it's part of C language. I'm not an expert in C++ by any means, so. All right, here it is. A little buggy here. I'm the opposite of Vintage 71. I'm a great coder and horrible at UI UX. How do I find people like her to collab on projects pro bono? We could pay off each other's strengths. Possibility. Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. Join the Discord. Join my Discord, because in the Discord we have people of all different skill sets and aptitudes. And yeah, you can make connections there, and people do. I know that people will collab on projects. Here's my Discord channel back here. And they'll collab on projects, and they will get together and work on projects together. That's what you got to do. You got to find people who complement your skill set. So yeah, check out my Discord. We have all kinds of discussions in here. Coding help, development talk, coding news, promotions, what have you. So yeah, definitely join us. Over 3,000 members on the Discord. Link is right below this video. And it's free. It's a good group too, highly moderated. So you better. All right, let's go on. Last few questions, guys, because it's been nearly an hour here. How to handle a project with tight schedule and a team of new junior developers. No senior devs. Ooh. That's difficult. This will take lots of effort and time for the overall project. How do you escalate such a situation? Yeah, first you got to find out what your juniors can do, and then isolate their activities accordingly. You're gonna have to have a tighter control on what they're doing so they don't mess stuff up. I would definitely have version control in place so that you can make sure you can verify the work that they're doing, and give people tests. What I would do when I would bring in new juniors, I would have them come in and assign them very limited tasks and see how they do with that. And if they did okay with that, then I assign a little bit more complex and a little bit more complex. Yeah, junior devs, their work. That's why junior devs make less than experienced devs, because they got to be trained. Remember, the first 2-3 years of development, you have to consider your learning years. You're still learning the game. So people tend to get in stride with their skills year 3-4. They get really good. They start getting very good and productive. Year 4, if you're talented, you can see yourself maybe being a lead. Although I know somebody, she became the lead within a year and a half, I think. A year and a half, so she did pretty good. Out of a boot camp too. When are your balcony inside car style videos coming back? Missing belts. Oh, geez. Wow. You're old school, dude. Yeah. Balcony in the summertime, because I bought a new place. So the old place had a much better view, but this place is a much better building. So it won't be from that balcony, of course. But I got a new vehicle. It's coming in April. And I plan to do some code in a car vlogs again. Brand new car. Before I used to drive my convertible Audi. Got rid of that. Because it started complaining too much. But yeah, they will be coming back. Do you recommend Texas as a good state for web dev jobs given the income tax free state? Well, Texas, yeah, Texas is a good state for sure. Lots of jobs, less red tape, less taxes, better off things are. If you are, generally speaking, if you are good at managing yourself and your money and you manage your health well, lower tax states are going to be beneficial to you because you're going to have more money for yourself to manage. If you're not good at that, then higher tax states that typically have more services, I would imagine, would be better for you. So it depends on who you are as an individual. So if you're self-reliant, you can manage your money, you can manage your health properly, then yeah, I would definitely go for a lower tax state. Somebody else. So we have some old Tony Brown. I recommend. Yeah, they're gonna be coming back. Trust me. I bought a new vehicle specifically, well, partly anyway, for the live streams and for the videos. Why so many people begin with front end, not back end journey? Because back end offers an extra level of challenge. But you should learn, and you have to learn front end anyway if you're going to do back end. You don't have to be an expert in the front end to do back end, but you have to learn at least some. How do you choose your colors for websites? Color palettes? Yeah, use color palettes. So make sure you don't mix colors together that don't mix. And it also depends on the theme of site. If you're doing a Halloween site, that will have a certain color palette. If you're doing a wedding site, it's probably not going to be the same color palette, right? So it depends on the subject. It also depends on just color matching. I'm very sensitive to that, so yeah. Hey, Stef, loving the mentorship. Hey, cool. Thanks for letting me know. I currently work in a non-tech job. Is there a way to transition starting with a few hours and gradually move into full-time? Could freelance be the best option? Yeah, if you're going to transition that way, definitely freelance is your option there. No question about that. I'm a big advocate of that, but that's what I did. Last time I worked for somebody as an employee, I was a bouncer in a nightclub. My last 2 jobs, actually, as an employee was bouncers in nightclubs. Boom. So I went from busting heads to busting code. No, actually, I went to busting fish before that. Then I went to code. But yeah, I've done contract work where I've worked for weeks for companies as a contractor because they're very lucrative. But most of my career was either freelance, a business owner, freelance, and then SaaS owner. Studioweb is the current one. Okay, last question. Then I have to go. I'm struggling with the motivation to pursue career in software engineering. I don't know where to begin. Been following tutorials and free boot camps, but they are boring and I don't see improvement. Well, Max, that could be one of the reasons. It could be that you're, bad. If you go see a bad movie, it doesn't make all movies bad. It's just you're sitting in a bad movie. So maybe you should find a good movie. When you're starting anything new, there's always resistance, barrier to entry. So you just got to have patience so you can get over that hump. And then once you get over the hump, it becomes a lot easier, more fun, trust me. So I would use discipline in this situation. Say, I'm just going to do 20 minutes a day of writing code. I invite you to check out my mentoring program below. It's very different from anything else out there. So there you go. So nice. That's it. That's the way you got to do it. Yeah. When you're first starting out, you want to do pro bono. You want to work for a local nonprofit, small business. You just want to get some experience. Trust me, it pays off. Stefan, I'm glad to see your channel is a large, great guy. Start boxing videos. Back to training. Mischuk. Yeah, I used to box a while back. I might do a few little things here and there on that. They don't. I actually asked it what was written in. It didn't want to tell me. I would imagine the core C++ with a lot of Python. All right. I will have to let you guys go. Thanks for watching the stream. I know there's more questions. Sorry I couldn't get to them. I'll make sure there's no super chats. Okay. But I have to go. It's been an hour. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the thumbs up. I will leave this for a replay so you can rewatch the earlier part if you haven't seen it. And I'll be releasing a few more videos this week. I'm actually traveling this week off to southern Florida to get some heat. If you don't know, I'm located in freezing Montreal right now. So it's going to be a nice change. Cheers, guys. Code long and profit. Join the Discord, link below. Cape Elizabeth, Maine. Now, put the, hold on a second. There we go.